the university launched a enterprise systems and support program, and very much a key part of that program was trying to create efficiencies in the professional service delivery space. Some of the problems we had at the time though were that a lot of our ERP stacks were 15 to 20 years old. And when we looked at how we were going to digitise and do the transformation that was required, it was going to be particularly difficult given some of the technologies that we had at the time. Initially, when we had planned on the initial process we were going to digitise, it was a very large and complex activity. And it was clear to us as well that the business just really wasn't ready to embark on that activity. So just in terms of business readiness, content, understanding of the business process. So we really wanted to set ourselves up for success. And so we also knew that the capability that we had procured was a lot of work up front, but as you built up those digital assets, that they would be reusable over time. So we deliberately chose processes that through some analysis that were going to form the building blocks of a much larger capability later. We then looked for a business partner, which ended up being the graduate school here at the university, that was ready to take on the work and the deep thinking that came with the transformation that was required, because a lot of it is about change and doing things differently. And we also had to break down this idea that we were just talking about forms. It's not just about forms, we can PDF forms. It was actually looking at business processes at the very beginning, and the last step was the technology.
The digital landscape or business process is not just one thing to one group of people. We came up with what we call the engagement continuum, and that represents marketing, it represents service and engagement assets generally. So how we deal with service in particular, we decided to invest in business process digitalisation, and we came across the fact that Bonitasoft was probably a good platform for us. Not specifically because of the technology platform, because they pretty much all do the same thing, their workflows on that perspective, but we had a vision of trying to integrate that into what we would call, the engagement assets. In our case, that's MyUQ. So it's very important for us to think about students as customers. I know that's probably not a traditional thing as people would call students customers, but they have, I guess, huge expectations in what they expect from service. They don't expect to go to various systems to get access to what are kind of service requests. So we invested in bringing all these kind of marketing, engagement, and service aspects into one platform. In our case, we call that the MyUQ platform. And so we were very conscious about being able to build the service dimensions or the business process into that platform to make it feel native to the University of Queensland. It doesn't sit aside from it. And so that's kind of one of our driving tenets is reduce complexity, contextual delivery of that information.
Higher education quite often have this idea that you always have to work with people who know higher education, whereas we recognise the fact that this is something that higher education wasn't doing well, and we wanted to bring in a partner that had other industry experience outside of higher ed.
Our preference is to kind of partner with the medium-sized organisations that kind of support us, given that this is not, we're building a capability here. We're not just doing something and then leaving it. Using partners, we can very quickly get good experience in a particular technology dimension and then build on that. So I think, talk about digital acceleration, using partners, I think you have to make good right-size fits with organisations.
We'd previously had a relationship with Intelligent Pathways. They had assisted us in terms of our integration capability at the university the year before. It was a trusted relationship. We had quite an open, I wouldn't use the term blunt, but it was a very honest relationship where we could really speak freely about what we needed and what was working and what wasn't working. And they were flexible and agile enough to be able to meet our requirements and not try and sign us up to a 10-year deal with 50 staff. So it was really that sort of, that helping hand to bring in certainly industry expertise.
Even though we had some challenges at the start, where we were trying to digitise and process re-engineer at the same time as a massive restructure was happening, now that we've actually started rolling out these processes, we've really noticed the improvement for the business. So from a management level, they now have visibility of what's going on. They don't have to worry about where a piece of paper is around the university. They've seen significant improvements in processing time So there's no longer bottlenecks if people are away and it's sitting on someone's desk. And for the staff themselves, they know exactly where their particular process is up to. So it's also reducing the number of calls that the HR and finance staff are receiving asking where something is up to.
If I had to pinpoint maybe 2 or 3 things that have made our journey, successful, one of the things I would say is that our approach to take a holistic perspective was one of them. And then the second one was recognizing that you have to pick your partners carefully and then work alongside them and make sure that they're not, that they're learning from you as much as you're learning from them, and then it's a supportive relationship. So I think Intelligent Pathways have been particularly good at finding that balance between us helping them and them helping us.